more people might be joining us, and welcome on the interwebs. We are here for Beyond the Sale Financial and Structural Planning for Property Management Owners Curious About Exiting, which might not sound like the sexiest topic in the world, but I assure you, when you are ready to be done with the business side of things, this is going to sound really sexy to you, but you have to get ahead of it. So we are here with Bill Wichard and Meredith Fiocchi, and we're going to talk about what property management owners should be thinking about long before they ever want to sit at a closing table. So I have these two wonderful, very accomplished people with me, and I'd love to tell you about them. So my friend Bill Wichard is the managing partner at Wichard, Woolard, and Mitchell Wealth Management. It's very well-known friends to the industry. I'm not sure there's many people who don't know who you are. Bill has spent more than 3 decades working with business owners on the front end of major transitions. He is the person you call when your situation is complicated and you want someone who will actually sit with you, ask the right questions, like listen and build a plan that fits your life, not a template. And he's had a long, successful, award-winning career, which is why he now owns his own firm in Edenton, North Carolina.
Yep.
He's rooted in service. I can attest to that. He gives back to his community and our industry. And when he's not working, he's usually outside somewhere with his family trying to finish the Appalachian Trail. We'll sidebar on that over some Tito's. And then next, my new friend, Meredith Fiocchi, Associate Vice President with the ESOP Group at Wells Fargo, which, not to fluff your skirt, but you're kind of a big deal in this world. She is. Meredith started her career in brokerage and futures trading, and today she's one of the most respected educators in the country on ESOP transactions, and I don't do hyperbole, I mean that with all sincerity. She helps owners understand when an ESOP is the right path and when it is not, and she stays with clients through the entire process, helping structure also 1042 portfolios and qualified replacement property. Meredith served as the president of the Illinois chapter of the ESOP Association and now sits on the National Advisory Committee for Ownership Culture. Together, they bring the financial structure and human side, which we so do love in hospitality, all of those sides of existing business. I think this is going to be extremely helpful and practical, useful. So welcome to our live stream, Bill and Meredith.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, let's kick things off. So these are conversations that, of course, I've had with you, I've had with other members on your team, and also with some of my clients and friends who are property managers. And there's a lot going on in the industry right now. So much. And a lot of people are considering exiting. They're at that stage where they don't want to deal with everything. And then there's a new way of operators coming in. So strictly from a financial perspective, not feelings or, legacy or anything like that. What shifts are you seeing in how homeowners, or business owners, I should say, are thinking about the future, property management owners?
Yeah, I think it's like any business that you own. You need to build a great team. And I think new owners, it's more important than ever that you do so. You focus on culture. I think the new owners are going to have to embrace AI. We just came from a conference in Vegas, at the Forbes Shook Conference, and we went to a breakout session on AI, and my partner and I said, if we don't embrace this, we're going to be left behind. Mm-hmm. And so spending the money up front to embrace AI, but also taking care of your team members. I mean, culture, sharing the profitability of the business, putting in a profit sharing plan. If you think about it, if you have a great year and your employees participate in that, they're going to be even better employees. And it's ultimately about, building a team that puts you in front of the lead, taking care of your customers. And the best way to do that is to have happy employees.
And I just want to look straight into the camera and reiterate what he said, that I said, what, no feelings, financially, what is the best path? And he said, take care of your team. Culture came first. Yep. You heard it right here from the financial expert. So what about operators who think they're too small, maybe they're too early to start planning for succession? When is the appropriate time to start thinking about, I need to take action towards my exit?
Well, there's a famous saying, build it like you're going to sell it tomorrow, even if you want to keep it forever. Mm-hmm. And I think when you take that approach, you build great culture, you reward your team members, But in the line of, if you want to sell your company, the sooner you start planning, the better, because you have to know your number, right? If you don't know your number, then when are you going to pull the trigger?
How do you get to your number?
You have your company valued, but you also do a financial plan. So a lot of people say, well, you know, I'm going to sell my company one day, but they don't understand what the other side of the sale looks like. Where if you know your number, hey, I want to maintain my standard of living exactly as it is today. Well, you plug that number to the financial plan, and the financial plan is not emotional. It's either going to say you got a problem or you're on track. Or it may tell you you're better than on track, which says, hey, you know, there are other planning opportunities that I can do, maybe some charitable strategies that you can, you know, incorporate into the plan. So really, the sooner you start planning, the better. And, you know, having a financial plan, a lot of people, that word kind of scares them.
Especially in this industry, because we are some cowboys and cowgirls. Like, wait a second, you're going to hold me down to a plan?
Exactly. But, you know, it really is liberating, because when you know what you need,
Yeah.
And you have your business valued on a regular basis, then you'll know that, hey, if I'm ready, I can pull the trigger.
So I have people that I've spoken to that I know well, that I don't know well, that just, you know, talk, and they're looking now at, I don't think I want to do this for forever, but I don't know what to do. And they might have even just a 3 or a 5 year runway. Is that enough time to get your ducks in a row to make a wise decision and come out on top the way that you want to be?
I think so. We prefer 5 years.
Okay.
Because there are moves you can make. A lot of times you need, you know, a growth advisor to basically, because your number isn't where it needs to be. And you need to stop living off the business.
Yeah.
Right? Which this industry is famous for.
Loves.
Yeah. And there are a lot of reasons you do that, I understand. But, you know, when you go to sell the business, though, you've got to make it as attractive to the...
Not a lifestyle business.
Not a lifestyle business.
Yeah.
As attractive to the new buyer as possible, and that's how you're going to maximize your value. So the sooner you start planning, you know, I like the saying, without a map, any road will get you there, but you might not like where you end up.
I love that.
Yep.
So good. Meredith, you are an expert on something that I love, and I've been a part of the planning and making sure that we're raising up the leaders to be able to handle what's about to happen next, and all the processes are put in place, and everything's spinning like a top. ESOP. Okay, so first of all, what is ESOP?
So an ESOP is an employee stock ownership plan. And it is a broad-based qualified plan. If people think of it, it sits under that ERISA umbrella like a 401k plan would.
Okay.
It is a passive economic investor. That means people who own the business inside that trust don't have any power. They're not going to boss around and demand to see the books. They can't tell you what kind of company car to drive. So I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding there sometimes out in the world where they say, well, I don't want to do an ESOP. I don't want everybody thinking they're in charge. They're not in charge at all. It's just the opportunity to own the business where you're working every day and you're contributing to the success every day. So that's what it is in a nutshell. It's just a qualified plan.
And so who is this a good fit for, and who should avoid this?
Great questions. So, and I actually have conversation starters to help business owners think about, all right, is it viable yet? Could it be viable one day? An ESOP, to be properly structured, you're going to have several people sitting at the table. The cool thing is that you're creating a buyer who doesn't exist today, and you get to design who that buyer is. That's super different. We all know what it is to have somebody come knock on the door, and that's who you get. And maybe it's great, and maybe it's not, and maybe it seems great, but later it's not, you know, all the stuff. This is a way to design your buyer, but it requires a few extra people around the table. So that means it's going to cost a little something to properly execute.
Yeah.
Is it super expensive? No. It's cheaper than hiring a business broker and trying to go out in the world and find a buyer of the business, but it's typically going to cost you a couple $100,000. So if a company's value is below, I like to say somewhere around 10 million, they might want to think about, should we keep growing another couple years before we're really ready to embrace this as
So
a strategy?
lower middle market isn't quite ready. I mean, I guess the top of lower middle is
Yeah,
where
it's
you
like,
are.
right.
Yeah.
So I would say a lot of the transactions that we work on, the enterprise value is going to be between like 10 and 100 million.
Okay.
I know that's a huge range. It's applicable to almost every
So many.
industry. So it's just a matter of more the fit with the people. If you have a company where the wealth and the jobs were created in your community and you want to keep them there, that's a real big green light. But I would say back of the envelope, the company should be worth about 10 or more. If you don't know what it's worth, that's okay. We have people who can help you have that conversation, and that's not expensive at all to do.
Right.
And also, because it's supposed to be broad-based, you need to have, I would say, at least 20 or so eligible employees. So people who are over 21 years old working 1,000 hours a year. It's not a big hurdle,
Okay.
but it's something to keep in mind.
Okay, I love this. And I love this for our industry because so many, like, we're so people-y, you know what I mean?
For
And we
sure.
love our communities, and we do care about who's going to be stewarding this thing that we created, or maybe we bought, or, you know, whatever. As a property manager, I'm speaking on behalf of property managers when I say we, but to think of, like, just passing that down to people who already get it, to the people that you know are going to take care of your community. Like, this is where I see this just being flying colors in vacation rental. But there's also a lot of misconceptions, and I think you probably touched on it a little bit when we were talking about, like, who's a fit. But what are the biggest misconceptions that you hear?
Okay, so I would say, and actually in our brochure, we have a whole little section called Aesop Fables because we thought we were clever. We came
so
up with
cute.
that. We were so tired of CPAs and lawyers and people that don't work in our world spouting false information to the client, and then we're like digging out of a hole, like, nope, that's not ever correct, like not even sometimes, maybe.
That never happens in real estate. What are you talking
my
about?
Goodness. It's a tough go sometimes. So it's why I always say, you want to do Aesop 101, invite the team,
Yeah.
and you come, and who's the first person you're going to call after our meeting?
Oh, good.
Who's your trusted advisor, your CPA, CFO, somebody in your orbit who probably doesn't know about this?
Yes.
Let's invite them to the call.
Yeah.
Let's all learn together so I'm not digging out of a hole later.
Yeah.
But I would say misconception-wise, number one, they think everybody's going to be in charge, right? Number two, they think, well, I'm not going to get that much money for my company then, and ESOP's going to give me a real discounted value. That's not true. This is not like valuing a company for estate planning. This is going to be a totally solid fair market value determination. We have seen several transactions in the last couple of years where an outsider offered close to the same amount of money. We've also seen where an outsider offered more, but there are huge tax benefits we can touch on later that can make the net dollars to the business seller the same with an ESOP, and I think that's a misconception. And I would say the third one is very culture-based. I've had a lot of people say, look, I got guys punching a clock on the shop floor and they're never going to understand this. And I'm like, that's wrong.
Right.
I am an ownership culture. Anybody can understand they own where they work. And I could share several different stories of companies where you did have people in the convenience store at the gas station who understand it, and cashiers at the grocery store.
The janitors who say, I'm going to clean this bathroom the very best because I own this company.
That's right.
That's a different level
It's a
of discretionary
different level.
effort.
Absolutely. And I know I can use this trash can 3 more times with a real nice liner in it because we don't need to replace them as fast as we have been, and that saves our company money every year. I hear examples of that probably every month or two. We hear yet another story that everybody got it.
Okay, so we have everybody at the table, and the first person they call, maybe the second person they call, what are you telling them? Like, these are the absolute musts for this to be a viable option for you. Just
Yep.
brass tacks.
So assuming that the size and the number of employees makes sense, some of the things that you need to think about are, what is your succession plan? The beauty of an ESOP is that because the selling shareholder is customizing their buyer, they could sell as little as 30% of the business to an ESOP trust. They still own 70%. They're still in charge and going to work every day and being the boss and driving the bus. But even with a partial sale, we will start to ask what Bill was referring to. When you want to get in the back of the bus or step off of the bus, who is driving the bus?
Yeah.
Because when it's 100% owned, I get this question all the time. What if the ESOP owns all of the shares and you're saying it's not in charge? Who decides when we're going to buy stuff?
Yes.
Who decides if we want to sell it? Who decides what everybody's going to
Let
make for
go an
compensation?
employee who might also be an owner?
Yeah, how do we let go? This is the management team and the board of directors, and if you don't have a board now, you will. Could be 3 or 5 people, but it's a perfect time. That to me is how you know if it might be ready, because an ESOP is going to be like any other buyer, and they're going to want to understand, is this company going to be healthy after the sale? So that to me, it's the succession planning piece that becomes probably one of the bigger conversations, and the other one is probably financials. Typically, to get a leverage transaction to go, the company itself is going to need to take out a loan from a bank. Again, if it's a 30% sale, you're taking out a smaller amount of debt. But if you have a company that uses a ton of debt for operations, we talked to a great freight company in the Midwest a couple years ago. They had the best culture, but they were super highly leveraged. And we did a feasibility study with them and kind of said, if you did a leverage transaction, you might not have enough bank capital left to lease your next truck, and that would never be our intention, is to distress the business itself.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of stuff that to me are the important things to kind of vet.
Got a curveball question
Real
for you.
quick though,
Yeah,
I've
go
got
ahead.
another misconception. I think that once you do an ESOP, people think you're done. You're not going to grow anymore.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you
know,
hear that?
ESOPs
Sure.
can buy other ESOPs. They can buy other companies. They can
Yes.
keep growing.
ESOP
So-
holding companies have become very popular.
That's kinda
something
sexy.
in my ESOP
Yeah.
world. To me, that's super interesting because it's different. And holding companies can be several businesses in one industry, or it could be a myriad of different.
Like a
just
roll-up of ESOPs?
Yep.
Exactly, like an ESOP, like any other holding company.
Get
Thanks for bringing that
out.
up, Bill. He is spot on. Yeah, and we see that all the time. That's why I always say the number of individual ESOPs out there doesn't grow as quickly as the number of employee owners. There's over 10 million. It's bigger than the UAW,
Wild.
but it's growing from within. Yeah.
And I think it also, if you do a partial ESOP and you sell it, you don't have to sell it to another ESOP. You can sell it to another, outside buyer.
Yep.
But the culture it makes it a little bit more attractive to an outside buyer as well.
Yeah.
So give the statistics on ESOP owned companies.
Well, I mean, the exact numbers are in this brochure right here, but I can tell you that profit margins are higher, retention numbers are higher, the ability to recruit top talent is higher. Every single metric, and we also know it's over 90% of business owners regret the way they sold their company 2 hours after they sold it, and that
Especially in
number,
these small communities.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the number, if they sold to the ESOP, it's like less than 20%.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely different experience, and they can choose to just stop in once a quarter, or keep coming in, packing their lunch and going in every day, or anything in between. And they can change it. They're talking to their management team. Next year I think I'm only going to come in 20 hours a week. Okay, as long as we have you as a sounding board, no problem. It's just that ability to have that control over the outcome.
Yeah. I love
Meredith has just helped us close a large ESOP, and it's kind of exciting because the employees are super excited, and the HR people are putting employee-owned company on all the trucks.
I love that.
It's critical. That's
Yeah.
why I got,
Imagine who they're
Yeah.
attracting.
Yeah, and they're coming out with T-shirts. So the whole community, we're a small community, but as far as hiring quality people,
Yeah.
I mean they've taken a major step forward.
Yeah.
And in a small
Especially
town,
when
it's
you
hard
have a
to
little
find good
talent
people.
puddle.
That's
Like,
right,
I mean, because
that's right.
OBX has a lot of need and maybe not a lot of like frontline type of people who live like in the same area, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So let's talk about the other side of things. So I remember it was around Trover, you would know this, 2020, 2021, when like we started seeing family offices start circling, and then like big private equities started not just talking to the tech teams, not just the suppliers, but they started really getting interested in the actual property management companies. So on the flip side, let's just say somebody's like, okay, ESOP's not for me for whatever reason they have. We want to either sell to a strategic buyer or private equity. So what should they be doing now to maximize their valuation to be prepared to sell like in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, we kind of covered this earlier, but
Same.
stop living off the business, get your numbers in order, hire great people, get great culture, but knowing that you're going to sell in the future, there are a lot of tax strategies that people don't. I mean, you can go ahead and give part of the ownership of your stock to a family trust and get a lack of marketability discount up to 30%. If you've got a lot of wealth in your family, you can give, if you have charitable intent, you can get some stock before the sale to a charitable trust. And, so once you know
Offset
your
your
number,
tax
there's a
burden.
lot of different tax strategies that you can put in place that makes the sale go even more lucrative. We like saying, it's not what you get, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Right?
Yeah. And if there's a way to keep it and not give it to Uncle Sam, it's just every time I talk to you, tell me some other thing I've never heard of before, and I'm like, wait, we can do this? Like, do you have like a little pocket guide of like all the cheat codes to get through life? That's
So
what.
this ESOP we just did, they worked with the private bank people out of our wealth planner out of Charlotte for over a year, and the attorney. So we were bringing, and the CPA. We were bringing everybody to the table because with SLATs, where you can spousal limited access trust, where great estate planning tools. So this situation, we had warrants, and you at some point you need to tell about warrants, because that's the kicker. That's the gravy on the ESOP.
Yeah. We say having your cake, eating it too, and then getting another cake.
I like this.
Yeah.
See?
So warrants, very low value, and they mature 10 years out. And if
Typically very high value.
with typically very high value.
Okay.
So for doing estate planning purposes, it's a great strategy to put in a trust that avoids the next
Yeah.
or it goes to the next generation.
That's right.
Well, from a private equity perspective, of course, I do, as you very well know, personal branding, and so like really positioning the founder, the leader, the CEO, the senior executive to be able to leverage his or her professional reputation to drive business results. But then once you drive those results and you are increasing your revenue, however way you choose to do that, to make yourself more marketable, what happens when like your contact is like, well, what if you go away? Is the company still as valuable without your face as the leader? Is that something that you see that where you have to like start kind of sunsetting the main figure and amplifying other faces in the brand, or just making it?
I think absolutely.
Absolutely.
The ESOP only works with a strong management team, right? Meredith?
Absolutely. And that will be ferreted out, by the way,
Yeah.
during the planning to do an ESOP transaction. Any good trustee is going to ask, hey, I'd like to talk to the management team, and I'd like to understand your day-to-day operations. If this is your lifestyle business and you are the face and you are all of the relationships, then you better plan on extending your runway an extra couple of years.
To start backing, because it is very much a great tool, but then you get to a point where it becomes not so great.
So maybe I'm the face of the company, and then for a year we are the face of the company, and then the next year he is the face of the company, and I'm off behind his right shoulder.
Love it.
And you want the clients to feel like it's been such a consistent experience along the way that they're comfortable with that.
Yeah. Okay, love it. Now, okay, so we talked about just money. Let's talk about feelings. So there is a huge emotional component to selling your baby.
Mm-hmm.
Your baby. So what do you see, or what patterns do you see when owners don't prepare early enough, either financially or they don't prepare emotionally? Like what do you see?
If you're a type A like Steve Trover, you better have a hobby.
And Bill Wichard.
You better have a hobby, you better have charitable intent, or you better start a new business.
I was going to say, I can tell you what Steve Trover would say.
Yeah.
My most miserable clients are type A clients who sold their business without
Nothing else to do.
a backup plan.
And they call you like 5 times a day because you are their hobby. Am I right?
Right, exactly. And if they're married, their wives are miserable too.
Yeah.
I see a lot
Or
of
their
that.
husbands.
I get the wives call me like, can you give my husband a job?
Yeah.
Get him out of the house. He is micromanaging the water heater. Well, that is definitely something to look out for. And then also, I mean, we've talked a lot about succession. If there are family members who've maybe operated in the business and their livelihood is connected to the business, like that conversation, is that you refereeing, or do you provide some kind of like talk points like you were talking about, some conversation cues?
Well, Wells Fargo has such a toolbox. Bring in family dynamics, sir. I've definitely leaned on them. If we have like internal literate, I'll let you explain that. But
Therapists on staff,
they're
what we
like
got?
Psychiatrists.
Yeah.
you're literally on
Yeah.
staff. to deal
But
with
that's
that.
where also I think involving the family in the planning process.
Yeah.
And, you know, if everybody's aware and they're not surprises.
What's in it for me?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yep.
And they understand why you did certain things, it's going to always end better.
Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about keeping family members happy at the Thanksgiving table.
Oh, you just stole my line. That's what we always say.
I stole it from his son, in fairness. I stole it from his son's LinkedIn post. I'm
Oh, that's
not
so
going to lie. Let's talk. So definitely ESOP is a beautiful opportunity. There's also another opportunity, which I have learned loads about this year, and another huge reason why I wanted to talk to you. Let's talk about, or walk us through high level first, 1031 to DST to 721 and UPREIT.
Yep.
That sounds so complicated.
It sure does. That's a lot of
But
letters.
it really is a great tool
So great.
for property managers that are selling out, because quite often the new buyer doesn't want the real estate,
Right.
right?
They just
And
want the company.
They want the company, but they're willing to lease the real estate,
Mm-hmm.
and the maintenance buildings and the laundry house, whatever you have. But guess what? You're getting a brand new lease, so the property is at its highest value, and the owners have depreciated it down. So if they sell it outright, they're going to get killed in taxes, right? So the opportunity is to do a 1031. A 1031 is, you know, section 1031 the IRS tax code. You can sell a property, and upon closing, as long as you don't take possession, you can roll it into another like-kind property, another rental property, and defer paying taxes.
We love that.
Yep. And if you die with it, the new property that you've owned, the heirs inherit it at a stepped-up basis, and you avoided taxes completely.
So explain real quick stepped up basis for those who might not understand what that means.
A stepped-up basis just means that if you bought a building for $1 million and you depreciated it down, it's worth $200, and you were to sell it, you'd have an $800,000 capital gain. A stepped-up basis takes the property to date of death value.
Okay.
And you can sell it at that value and not pay any tax. That's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. But wait, there's more.
There's more. There's more. There are products out there. A lot of these owners are tired of the maintenance,
Yeah.
and we call it the 3 T's: the toilets, the tenants, and the trash. You've heard that from William.
I have.
Yep, the 3 T's. But they like real estate, and they don't want to pay taxes, so they want to do a 1031. They just don't want to do it they're tired of active management. They're ready to go passive. There's things out there called Delaware statutory trusts, which are pools of properties. So, you know, the last one I think in our stable had maybe 13, 14 properties worth $400 million. So you're going from one property into a share of a Delaware statutory trust. Great diversification, regular steady income that you can count on. So a lot of people are happy just doing that. And they say, I went from one property, active, to passive Delaware statutory trust. I'm happy with that. I die, my heirs get a stepped up cost basis. There's another strategy out there. And when you combine a 1031 with a 721, it gets really sexy. Yeah, exactly. A 721 allows you to go from the Delaware statutory trust. A 721 is also in the tax code. It's a partnership exchange, which is also tax deferred. So you go from a 1031 through a 721 UPREIT, you end up in a mega REIT. The one on our platform is $7 million, 180 properties in 26 states. Stuff like Amazon distribution centers, you know, pretty safe apartment complexes in Seattle, you know, outside of Microsoft.
Right.
Stuff like that. And the beauty of that is after 2 years in the 721, you've got liquidity. Think about a traditional 1031 exchange. If you need money, you either got to borrow against it, which a lot of people are tired of borrowing money after they've sold, you know, or you've got to sell the whole thing and pay taxes on the whole
And
thing.
where's the market at that point?
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. With once this thing is liquid, you own shares in a REIT at a prorated cost basis, which means, let's just make it simple. If it's 50% and you have, let's say you've got $5 million in this mega REIT and you need $1 million. 50% cost basis. You sell $1 million, you pay taxes on $500,000. You've got $1 million, so you've got liquidity, which is also beautiful. The other big factor, and I think in my mind this might be the biggest one of all, is estate planning.
Yes.
That's the Thanksgiving dinner.
Agreed.
We've got a farm in Chowan County owned by 11 cousins.
And granddaddy had it, and great granddaddy had it, and we got to keep it in this family.
We're not selling it until we die, because y'all are going to be able to make a decision together. Guess what? I'm glad I'm not making a decision with my sister.
Right.
I love her, but
Me too.
I'm glad I'm not making a decision with her.
Or making a decision from the grave.
Yeah.
Right.
Think about commercial property. You have 3 siblings that inherit a commercial building. One might want to keep it. The other 2 might want to sell. What's going to happen? There's going to be hurt feelings. Yeah. When you inherit shares of the mega REIT, each heir inherits shares just like shares of a stock. If they want to keep it, they can keep it, keep getting the income. If they want to sell it.
Your tagline for this thing should be "Just do you, boo." Everybody do what you want with this. Like you could keep your money in there, you could pull it out, you could borrow against it, like you make it liquid, whatever you want. It's just do you. Yep.
One more quick thing about it. A lot of times people have debt on property.
Yeah.
With this strategy, you can make the debt disappear too. They will actually recapitalize the debt. So let's make it easy. Take a $10 million deal, you got $3 million in debt. When it goes from, normally if you did a traditional 1031, the bank would want the $3 million.
Sure.
Right? And you would have $3 million of tax liability. Mm-hmm. With this strategy, the company will recapitalize the debt at SOFR plus, call it 1, but you're getting 4.5 on the REIT, so the cost of capital is really low. But then when it goes to the mega REIT, in that situation, you had $3 million of debt, $10 million property, you end up with $7 million in the mega REIT, and the debt disappears. So, I mean,
great way to clean up the books.
Right?
Exactly.
I know.
There's some really cool features.
So I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Meredith, and that is, who is this for? Who is this not for?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's on the Wells Fargo accredited or alternative platform. So you have to be an accredited investor, which means you have to have $1 million of liquid net worth.
Okay.
And there's lack of liquidity in the first 2 years. So
Sure.
it's completely locked up. There's no guarantee, and I must say that it will go to the 721. So it has not faltered in the past, but you can't make a guarantee. It's on the alternative platform. So it's for people that probably this would be a portion of their assets. We'd never advise someone to do it if it was,
all in.
Most,
all
yeah,
in.
this is what we got.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So same question, and I have a feeling it's similar, but I just want to be very clear for anybody watching because these are not the easiest strategies to wrap our minds around. So what do we need to start exploring, and what do we need to start tracking or organizing now in order to participate in the 1031 to DST to
Well, you need to
721?
understand your cost basis. A lot of people don't know how their depreciation schedule. They haven't looked at it. They think I can sell this, and they need to understand that they can't take possession of the money. It's got to go with a qualified intermediary. If you take possession of the money and decide you want to do this, you're too late. You can't do it. But we involve the CPA and the attorney.
Yeah.
We never want anybody to do this unless it's been vetted by those guys.
Yeah.
We want their stamp of approval. It's a great opportunity for us to educate other professionals as well.
Yeah.
So I think bringing all the advisors to the table is a big issue.
Yeah, and I want everybody watching to follow both of them on LinkedIn, as well as William Witchard III, Bill's son, because this is all he talks about on LinkedIn, like 100% of the time, and it's fascinating. So as we wrap up, and thank you both so much for sharing your wisdom, because this is like big, scary stuff, and I think both of you just do a beautiful job of like taking it down to planet Earth where the rest of us live. So thank you. My next question for both of you is, if I was like, I'm doing this, like this is part of my 2026 resolution, 90-day sprint, what do you suggest? ESOP 90-day sprint, and what do you suggest for your side of things?
If somebody said I want to do a 90-day sprint and I know nothing about ESOPs today, you need to get on and do an ESOP 101 phone call. get my group to give you enough foundational knowledge, and then it's go, no go. Do I want to answer the question, would this be feasible for my business if I wanted to do it? It does not obligate you to ever do it, but it answers the question, would it be feasible?
Yeah.
You can, for not a ton of money, hire a really seasoned ESOP advisor that, I'm a big fan, introduce you to 3, you pick the one you like the best. They would be able to look under the hood. Here's a sell side value range for you. Here's what selling part of it to an ESOP is versus 100%. Here's you deferring your own personal capital gains taxes versus you paying them. That is called a feasibility study. And if you ask me what's a good 90-day sprint, learn what it is. And you may say, I don't need to do any more.
Right.
I hate the idea of sharing with my people. If you're still curious, see if it's feasible. And even after a feasibility, you can say, pencils down, that was interesting. I want to grow it for 2 more years and I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the best use of your
But
time
you know,
and your
we're
money.
we're start here, like on a mall map. You are here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You are here.
Yeah.
And now you can decide, where am I going?
Great, wonderful. And your 90-day sprint for somebody who wants to sell the business, they're keeping their land, their buildings, whatever. Now what do I do? 90 days.
Yeah, it's a financial plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew you were coming out with that.
Hey, we need to know the number, and it's a financial plan accompanied by a not feasibility study, but evaluation.
Yeah.
What is that number today? Does that work for you or not? If it doesn't work, what steps do you need to take to get it to the level?
Let's go ahead and forecast what those numbers need to be.
Exactly.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I hope everyone who's watching or will watch in the future found as much value out of this as I personally have. Spread the word. Where do we find you at the conference?
We have a booth right by the registration center.
Right across registration, and you have chocolate at your booth. So I'm all about that. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Amber. This was very fun.